some of the things that we covered today is planning, structure, strategy, creativity, and grit and grace.
Grit and grace. You know, Linda loves alliteration. We've recently taken umbrage at certain types of sole proprietors who call themselves small business owners, when in reality, they're just employees who work as independent contractors. These are folks who get a 1099 and they file a Schedule C on their personal tax return. The problem is, they don't run their quote-unquote business like a small business, and they behave more often than not like an employee.
Okay, so this is where I'm going to come in with a little bit of a reality check. Some cold water on the face kind of thing.
Welcome to Simple Sense for Small Business. Linda Ray and I are drinking coffee and recording this on Small Business Saturday. But we're talking about folks who maybe they're not really small business owners. Maybe they're just glorified employees who get a 1099 and they consider themselves a small business owner. They're not. We're going to paint the difference for you right now.
And it ain't going to be pretty. So you might want to just click off right now if you are offended already. Because we're going to get real.
I will say the coffee's very good this morning.
There's a small business owner and then there's an entrepreneur. You can be a small business owner because you get a 1099 and you are self-employed. But that doesn't mean that you're an entrepreneur, because an entrepreneur embraces all aspects of owning a business, including the tough times when things are not going great or stuff you try doesn't work. There's no entitlement nonsense.
You blame yourself. You don't blame others. That's the difference.
Yes.
By the way, I love how you said all aspects, because that's really what we're talking about today.
Yes.
What are the all aspects of a small business that sets you apart as an entrepreneur from someone who really is just an independent contractor who gets paid 1099?
We do talk about how there are really no shortcuts, but here's a shortcut for you. Parts of owning a business, we actually segmented this YouTube channel, and I know it's a podcast too, but on the YouTube channel, we segmented playlists on the different types of things that a business owner has to contend with. We have sales and marketing. We have operations. We have accountability. We have financial services.
I want to list 6 aspects. Since you brought in the phrase all aspects, let me identify 6 questions that helps you identify yourself as a true business owner, or you wake up after the end of these 6 questions and go, holy cow, they're right. I'm really just somebody who collects a check.
I don't think they would be listening to this. They would have checked out by now.
Unfortunately, in my personal opinion, too many people in the United States today are abused by big business who pay them as an independent contractor, as a 1099, and with this idea like, oh, look at you, you're independent. And they build them all up as if they are independent, when in fact, they're not really independent. It's just a way for that big company to avoid paying for health insurance, unemployment benefits, disability insurance, and all other kinds of benefits they don't have to pay.
Actually, I like that you're going a little tangential, and I like it because I usually do too, because I'm going to go off script here.
Go for it, woman. Yeah. Go.
This is a good reason why people who may not have ever owned a business and were downsized or were abused and did not want to work for that toxic boss or toxic coworkers, and they went out on their own. And when you collect a 1099, you are officially a business owner. Make no bones about it.
Yeah.
But maybe you weren't prepared for what that meant on your new responsibilities as a business owner, to yourself, if you want to survive and thrive beyond COVID and make money. So maybe you're going to hang out with us because maybe you are just tipping your toe in the water because of you were an employee, but now you're going on the self-employed route because you had to, or you made a choice to respect yourself.
I love this tangential tangent that you've taken us on, because actually we really have come into this topic today because of our business, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, which we've been working on now for 20 months. And we are constantly encountering folks who are 1099 folks and who simply do not grasp any of the fundamental concepts of being a small business owner. They are approaching the EIDL program and their reaction to the COVID pandemic and financial survival as if they're an employee, as if they're owed something.
Or there is a level of helplessness when it comes to the responsibility of what effort you have to put into to get this business loan. That's a different podcast, the helplessness. Honestly, my tolerance for that is nil.
Take a deep breath. All right.
No, I've seen it.
Let
and
me
it's
share with you
inexcusable.
all the 6 questions you need to ask yourself if you want to discern whether you are truly an entrepreneurial small business owner or you're simply a glorified employee. Here we go. First question.
Do it.
Do I have a written business plan?
Oh my gosh, this is a good first one. If you don't, listen, don't sweat it because it's a work in progress. It's a working, living, breathing document that if you at least start it, you even have a download to get an outline for it. So I'll have to put that link into the show notes.
Well, especially don't fret it because as financing brokers, we are not actually happy to tell you, but we will share with you that many small businesses that we've encountered in our time as a financing brokerage do not have written business plans.
Yep.
And we're talking about, not 1099 people. We're talking about the restaurants and manufacturing companies and so forth. So don't feel badly. But
I think 1 out of 5, if I had to guess, like a weird
I think that's a
ratio.
fair ratio.
Yeah.
Certainly, if you're trying to just define yourself, I own a business, I'm not a glorified employee, that's your first thing. Do you have a written business plan? Here's the second question to ask yourself. Do I diligently track my income and my expenses?
If you haven't, it's not hard to start because there are applications out there that are not expensive. Quicken is a good starter for an inexpensive to be able to track because you can categorize, and QuickBooks is more expensive. But anyway.
With my little music business that I had, which COVID eliminated because you can't really go out and sing in nursing homes anymore, I tracked my income and expenses old school in a written ledger with a pencil.
Okay, don't listen to him, okay?
Listen to me.
Seriously, Quicken is really cheap if you've not started this as a practice.
I can promise you my little ledger I bought in Staples for something like $1.79. Next question to ask yourself. Do I analyze my income to improve my future income opportunities? Where am I earning money right now? And what is the most productive source of income that I can leverage to get more of that source and get rid of the bad sources?
Are you narrowly navigating the I was an employee, but now I'm thrown into a business owner position? You're thinking the way you've made money is the only way you've made money. That is not the case. You do have to get creative with what your talents, your knowledge, offerings you can make to the public at large.
This is a very key element, by the way, this income opportunity, because if you're scratching your head right now going, what is he talking about, income opportunities, plural? I only get a 1099 from one company. And, in the quote-unquote gig economy, we see that a lot with folks who work for Grubhub, Uber, Instacart, and so on. They're only working for one company. That's what we mean by glorified employee. I want to share a story about a young woman who came to us for advice for the EIDL program back in February. Her first name is Taylor, and she's out in Wisconsin or someplace. Single mom, and she was doing Instacart, Grubhub type of delivery work, shopping for people. We spoke to her very recently. She has gone and launched her own business, almost like an executive shopper for somebody, almost like a personal assistant type. And she realized there were certain types of customers, and so she branched out. She got there by analyzing her income opportunities. So here's the next question to ask yourself, and our friend Taylor did this also. Do I market my business?
Oh, I cannot even.
Uh-oh. Linda Ray's going to
Now-
lose her mind right now.
Okay. Whether or not you agree with me, I'm going to say marketing is magical. There are people out there waiting to find you so you can help them. They need the help. They want someone. They want to delegate because they know they can't do it themselves, or they don't want to do it themselves, or they don't have the time to do it themselves. And you're doing yourself a disservice by not sharing what you do. People think marketing is bragging, or that if I talk about my business, I'm bragging and nobody wants to hear it. People need to hear it. And the people that don't want to hear it, they are not your client and will never be your client, and you can disqualify them and they can go away and you can move on. That's how it goes.
Keep in mind the key element here is, do you market your business? If you are getting a 1099 from a big company and they do all the marketing, guess what? You're not doing the marketing,
Right.
Which means you're a glorified employee.
Yeah.
You're not a small business owner. So our last 2 questions in this list, I'm going to focus on a good friend of ours named Vince, who's a restaurateur here in Connecticut. And he owns a couple of successful, fantastic fine dining cuisine and a new quick service type of restaurant experience. There are 2 things that he does as a business owner that you, as an independent contractor business owner, should also be doing. And maybe you're going to scratch your head, maybe not. Here we go. Number one, do you control your expenses? And number two, do you have a budget? Controlling expenses. You know one of the things, Linda, that Vince does at his restaurants? Seasonally, as his outdoor dining experience becomes less viable because of the winters here in New England, he counts the napkins.
We did discuss this on a previous podcast.
Yep.
I just don't remember the title of what it was.
We
I'll
did.
have
It
to
was
find
more
it.
in depth, but if he counts the napkins, in other words, he has to pay for his linen service. If his staff in a particular restaurant is laundering more napkins when he's serving less tables, obviously that's an expense he can reduce. Next, when he's opening a new restaurant, he creates a budget. What's his construction costs? What's his equipment costs? Electrical, plumbing, heating,
Right.
all of that. Do you, as a small business owner, have those two aspects to your business?
This is really key, especially with some of the helplessness we've witnessed with people who are like, I need this EIDL money. It's like, you know what? It's not that simple, because if you're not managing other aspects of your business, you're going to get this money, and then what? You're going to spend it? And then what? Is you going to need another round, or then what? You can't just need money but not have the ability to forecast or to budget.
My philosophy is if you just show up every day and you work hard and you work long hours, and we're not taking any of that away from you, but if that's all you do and there's no sense of planning or structure, then really you're only an employee who gets paid a 1099.
Yeah.
You're not a small business owner. So our wealth and wellness segment today really is this entire podcast. You have to ask yourself these questions and set yourself apart. And we hope that you will draw inspiration from this podcast to say to yourself, you know what? Linda's right, Trevor's right. All I'm doing is I'm working for, quote, the man. I want to be independent, truly independent. I want to control my income destiny.
Yeah.
That's an entrepreneur.
This is Simple Sense for Small Business, where we may... Simple Sense for Small Business, where we share with you mistakes we've made so you don't have to. See you next time.